What's up, guys? In this video I'll show you how I use this carbon fiber vinyl to add some really cool accents to the interior trim pieces and B-pillar of my 2017 Subaru Outback. The vinyl for this project was provided by HTVRont. If you want to give this vinyl a try for your project, stick to the end of the video where I'll tell you how you can get a code for 10% off the purchase of this vinyl. And with that, let me show you how I use this vinyl to add some really sweet carbon fiber accents to my car. The first step in this process is to ensure that your surfaces that you're going to be applying the vinyl to is fully cleaned. I'm just using microfiber cloth and rubbing alcohol mixed with water. Once I clean the main surface, I'm using my squeegee underneath my microfiber cloth to then clean really well in between all the edges and the crevices to get any dirt and debris and oil out of there. The next step is to apply the vinyl to the interior trim piece. You can see I'm going ahead and peeling off the vinyl, have to double checking that it is a big enough piece to cover all the way around, up, down, left, and right. Place the vinyl on loosely, and I'm just going to use my hand here to place it on, tack it on, smoothing down the vinyl onto the main flatter surface of the interior trim piece. And so once I've got everything in place, I'm going to go ahead and use my squeegee to go ahead and make sure that everything is placed down. You can see that I'm doing an initial tuck of the edges of the vinyl into the edge of the interior trim piece. Again, on that right side, you can see it's kind of bending there. It's just kind of where the curvature is causing a little bit of tension, and you can see that tension line, which is that kind of a half moon piece there. On the left side, I'm just going to take my vinyl, and you can see I'm lifting it up so that the vinyl will be able to work its way down and feed its way down into the edges of the side of the interior trim piece. So if you need to, you can see there's that tension line. What I'm going to do is going to take my utility knife, and I'm going to cut at certain points, and specifically at the very bottom corner where the trim piece ends and meets the other trim piece to the right where the handle is, and then on the top corner, same thing, but I'm making sure that my vinyl meets those corner pieces and actually covers and adjoins to that. Then down the middle where I know that there's a line, I'm going to go and make some additional relief cuts. Then I'm going to take my micro-squeegee and really tuck in all the edges into the edge of the interior trim piece. And this is a technique called tucking and then eventually cutting, so tucking and cutting. So I'm using that micro squeegee, which is a finer edge squeegee, to ensure that everything is tucked in nice and tightly. If I need to, I'm going to use some heat, and you can see I've got my heat gun in here. I'm just using it on low heat, nothing too crazy. If you don't have a heat gun, you can use a hair dryer, and this will soften the vinyl a little bit. And you saw as I heated it, the loose vinyl kind of just flopped down. And then this makes the vinyl a little bit more conformable, a little bit more malleable, and you can then use your micro squeegee again, as I'm doing, to tuck this in really nicely and tightly for this tuck and then cut technique. Once you've got everything tucked in very nicely, because that's going to be your cut line essentially, you can use your knife. Make sure your utility knife is super sharp. And then what I'm doing there is I'm trimming. There's a gap in between the back of the door and the edge of the interior trim piece, and I'm basically floating my blade tip in that gap. Now make sure again your knife is super sharp so that it just slides right through the vinyl. If you feel any resistance while you're cutting, stop for a second and make sure that you're not cutting the door itself. Peel off any pieces that you've already trimmed, making sure you peel slowly to ensure it doesn't rip the vinyl in case you did not cut it all the way. Once I'm done, I'd like to take my micro squeegee and make sure that the areas that I just trimmed are tucked in nice and tightly. And so this has been a fully wrapped interior trim piece for my car. Towards the end, I just like to add a little bit of heat to make sure there's a little bit to ensure that there's no trapped air bubbles. And if I do find those, then I can smooth them out and then tuck in any additional areas that might have popped up with the heat. Alright guys, and like I said, this interior trim piece has been fully wrapped. Now let's see how to do the B-pillars and add carbon fiber accents to them. As before, the first step is to go ahead and make sure everything is nice and clean, being sure to get inside the edges as best as you can. You can see I use my squeegee inside the microfiber cloth to clean that well. Next step, like with the interior trim piece, is to apply the vinyl. So basically add the piece of vinyl on there, and then I smooth it down with my hand, generally speaking. If you don't get it evenly distributed the first go, you can peel it back up, and then once you have it in place, I just use my main squeegee to tuck everything in, lay everything down, and then tuck in the edges, generally speaking, as you can see me doing there. I then like to use my micro squeegee as before to go ahead and tuck in all the edges in preparation for cutting, for the tuck and cut technique. The micro-squeegee again just makes a really good defined line of where you're going to be cutting. Next step is to go ahead and trim out. And again, you can see here what I'm doing is I'm trimming from the very corners out so that I'm creating tabs on the sides essentially and the top and bottom so that they're easy to cut, peel off. And you can see there I'm just using the blade floating in between the plastic part of the trim piece and the seal. Make sure you don't cut the seal, so I'm pushing against the hard plastic part of the trim piece with my blade floating in between the gap. Defined by that line, I'd use my micro-squeegee to tuck the vinyl into the side. Doing those on the sides, same thing on the top, you do the same thing. Now in the middle, my knife, what I was doing there, showing you that the knife has kind of a fat end. I can use that as kind of like as a guide. You can see there's a gap in between the two door pillars, and the side of the plastic body of the knife just basically fits in there nicely, and it basically splits that gap right in half. And so on the bottom, it's kind of like trimming off the side pieces, where I'm just trimming really lightly and very carefully between the gap at the bottom trim piece there and the B-pillar cap. And then on the top, I'm doing the exact same thing, floating my blade in between the gap on the top trim piece, chrome trim piece, and the black cap of the B-pillar. Finishing touches here, just taking my micro-squeegee on those edges, and then in the middle, I'm going to add just a little bit of heat. Putting on a wrap glove to help my finger slide through there, and just basically rolling that vinyl down and pushing it down in between, and then using my squeegee to then tuck the vinyl into the inner edges of the B-pillar. And guys, this has been fully wrapped as well.
Alright guys, so I hope you saw through the walkthrough portion of the tutorial how easy it is to add some really subtle yet cool accents to your car or any of your projects using this carbon fiber vinyl. If you want to give this vinyl a try, HTVRont has given me 10 codes for 10% off the purchase of this vinyl. So for the discount code, I've only got 10 to give out, and I'll be giving those out first come, first serve. The way to get this code is to message me at my Instagram account, which you'll see right here. So shoot me a note, ask for the code, and if I haven't already given away all 10 of the codes, I'll send you that code so you can get 10% off the purchase of this vinyl to give it a try. Alright guys, so one last thing, HTVRont let me know that they'll be launching their Summer Beach campaign starting the 21st of June 2022. Well, they'll be running different sales and promotions across their website on various products. So if you're interested in checking it out, be sure to check out the link in the description below. Alright guys, so I hope you found this video to be helpful, instructive, informative, entertaining to some degree. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button so you get notices whenever I post new content to the channel. Until next time guys, thanks for watching and have a great day.